and turning wet and windy in western Scotland later, with some particularly heavy rain for the Highlands. Now, as we go through the coming week, it is going to start to turn increasingly more changeable for all of us, and temperatures will fall away, so feeling quite cold by Wednesday.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Everything you need to enjoy a super summer could be on us this year, as you could drive away with this very latest Benivan 4-berth camper van. This camper van is fully equipped with its own kitchen, bathroom, dinette and plenty of storage. We'll also get your summer sorted with a further £25,000 in tax-free cash that you could spend however you like. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the biggest show on Saturday night, UK TV. I'm Will Kingston, along with Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. It's the Saturday Five. Tonight on the show, keep getting your questions in for Ask the Five. And from Renee.
Should the police use facial recognition? And find out why Woburn's new otter pups are stealing people's hearts.
And Prince Charles speaking pidgin English. And we will have the final batch of those trigger tantrums.
It's all coming your way at 8 p.m. This is the Saturday 5 Extra. Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. We want to keep hearing your views as well. Your say has been fascinating tonight. Get them through by visiting gbnews.com/your say. There's still a bit of time to get your questions in for Ask the Five. They'll be coming all to you after your news bulletin with Bethany Elsey.
Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 8:01. The Ministry of Defence has accused Iran of reckless attacks after Tehran targeted a joint British-American military base in Diego Garcia. The two missiles failed to reach their intended target as one was shot down by an American warship and the other failed in flight. The attack comes as US forces have been given permission to use UK bases to launch strikes to protect the Strait of Hormuz. Although the government has confirmed that RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus will not be used, Iran is warning the decision will put British lives at risk, but Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper insists the UK is not involved in offensive action.
Seen the latest in Iran's reckless strikes aiming at Gulf partners, at international shipping, at allies and British interests as well. And that is why we have continued to support defensive action. We were not and continue not to be involved in offensive action.
An Iranian man and a Romanian woman have been charged after allegedly trying to enter the base for the UK's nuclear submarine fleet at Fastlane near Glasgow. The pair, who are 34 and 31, are due to appear before Dumbarton Sheriff Court on Monday, when more details of their charges are expected to be released. The number of cases in the UK's meningitis outbreak has risen to 34, up from 29 yesterday. That includes the 2 students who died from the virus in Kent last weekend. All cases have required hospital admission. Hundreds of people have again been queuing outside the University of Kent waiting to receive vaccines today. Meanwhile, the Health Secretary Wes Streeting is also urging people to get vaccinated against measles after an outbreak in Enfield, which he says could have been prevented.
Made me so sad and angry is that the outbreak we've seen is entirely preventable if people get vaccinated.
And the former FBI chief, Robert Mueller, has died at the age of 81. He was responsible for overseeing an investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election, which Donald Trump won. Mueller was a decorated Vietnam War veteran who also led the FBI in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. It's reported he'd been suffering from Parkinson's disease. The US president has posted on Truth Social saying he's glad he's dead. Those are your latest news headlines. I'll be back with more at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Bethany. Donald Trump, as usual, certainly not pulling any punches there. It's time to have your say now, ladies and gentlemen, in Ask the Five. Our first question tonight comes from David. David asks, following Iran's attempt to strike the Chagos Islands, has the UK made itself a target by allowing US strikes from British bases? Renee?
I mean, I don't even think at the moment they have actually done that, have they? I think they're just using it for various operations that they need to do. But I think the UK was always a target of Iran's. They made no secret of it. They got up every day and threatened us with death. So I think this was coming, whatever we did.
Well, perhaps the better question, or an addition to the question, would be, has the UK's actions recently, Lizzie, increased the threat towards the United Kingdom?
Look, as Renee said, we've always had a threat. We've been, they've been at war with us for 47 years. I'm afraid we've always been allies with the US, and I'm afraid they're always going to be a threat and always have been a threat. And I'm afraid, look, the thing we've done so wrong is that now we've kind of ruined our special relationship with the United States, as well as, Iran not liking us. But, so we've not pleased any of the sides because of Starmer's, indecisiveness.
Trey?
Yeah, of course, it's increased our threat. And I think, when you say they've always been at war with us, there was a time when Iran did have a democratically elected prime minister, and we did conspire along with the American CIA to actually overthrow him because they wanted to actually use their oil for the good of the Iranian people. So unfortunately, every time we've interfered in that part of the world, we are creating more and more enemies, and that's just a historical fact. So of course it's increased.
Kai?
I've forgotten the question now. just dissecting Trey's answer in my brain. Look, yeah, obviously the threats to the UK have magnified. It was sort of always going to be like this, because not only has Iran been an enemy of ours for a very long time, but they have a all-out war strategy now in the way that they've been attacked by the US and Israel, which is quite irresponsible in the way that this war has taken place. They are now lashing out at Dubai, at other countries in the Gulf. That's a strategy they're doing. They're doing that on purpose in order to draw other people in, right? And so, yes, they're trying to draw us in, both Iran and, to a degree, the US.
But I think what they're doing by doing that, obviously, because they're trying to, ruin everyone's economy. Yeah. They're strangling the economies of the world.
Yeah.
And they've got a clever game in some respects, because they haven't got the US's strength and might from the military.
You can't blame
but they're doing it. So what they're doing, is, we won't have oil, we won't have food. That's how they're doing it.
Some of us said this at the start of this bombing campaign by Donald Trump. No aim, no objective, completely unclear, no reason why now, no reason why. I mean, look, it's been a complete chaos, but the US and Israel hold more of the blame for the start of this war, certainly.
I don't think Iran are going to see it like that, though, are they? Let's face it.
No,
because it's Iran against the West.
Yeah, totally.
There is a nuance here, I think, in the short term. The risk towards the United Kingdom may very well be higher. In the long term, the world will be a much safer place without the biggest state sponsor of terrorism. But our next question comes from Lily. Should meningitis vaccines be mandatory in outbreak zones for teenagers and young adults? And it's only appropriate that I start with Dr. Renee.
I cannot ever accept that we mandate anybody in this country for any medication. You cannot tell somebody what to put into their body. Even if you think they are stark raving mad saying no, it's their body. And there is not a medication on this earth that does not have a side effect. And some of these vaccines, however rare, have the side effect of death. So no. We should never mandate medication.
Look, I'm someone that actually had meningitis. I got it just before my wedding, could you believe?
Much.
Thank you very much for that, Renee.
I'm sorry that happened to you, Lizzie.
It did happen to me.
Is what you meant.
But, look, I agree totally with you, and obviously it's very sad what's these outbreaks that are happening, and there's been deaths, which is just absolutely devastating. But I think we've got to just calm down a bit. I think there's this frenzy that happens. We saw it in COVID. We need to just take a breath and calm down.
And the vaccine isn't going to help in this current outbreak.
Look, if you have meningitis, sadly, you need to get the right treatment quickly, get the antibiotics. Thankfully, I did. But look, let's just calm down. I think there's too much, people panicking about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really have a strong view on vaccines being mandatory. It strikes me that it's not the right approach. I'm not convinced. And I do think that, yes, we need to be really careful. We need to learn the lessons from COVID. One of those, I think Renee could tell us a lot about, but also one of those is not to whip ourselves into a frenzy about a small number of cases at this moment and overreact.
We've achieved consensus. Huzzah! Our next question comes from Philip. The situation in the Strait of Hormuz has shown us how fragile our energy security is. Instead of just managing the latest oil spike, should Britain be doubling down on long-term energy strategies like fusion to make sure we're never in this position again? Renee?
100%. We should be doubling down on everything. Fusion, we should be fracking that gold that is under our feet. And I tell you what, if you paid the people in the areas where you're going to frack, if you said, we can frack here, you might have some minor earth tremors, and they really are minor, and we will pay X amount of your bill, or you will get your electricity at 50%, everybody would say yes. I'm really tired of this argument of, well, that will take 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, because Nick Clegg was saying that in 2010.
Yeah.
We need to start now, because these wars and spikes are not going away in the future.
No.
So, no, we can't solve this problem, but we can certainly prepare ourselves for the future.
Drill, baby, drill! That's what I say. Come on, get drilling! Do it now! What are we waiting for? God, there's already round my way the queues for the petrol. We're all having that. I live in a rural area. I rely on oil, and it's going through the roof. Come on, we've got to do something.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should have energy security, but I think we should look at a mixture, though. If we can do some things environmentally sound, then why not do that? But absolutely, it's the most important thing that we need.
Yeah, Kai, there are rivers of gold under the North Sea. Why aren't we taking advantage of all that oil?
Yeah, it's a strategic mistake, isn't it, to completely wean ourselves off the North Sea oil. Look, it's not a silver bullet. However, right, we know that it's not a panacea. But given that we produce so much clean energy here in this country, and we can do more of that, actually, Sky News itself did a really amazing explainer that shows that instead of being reliant on fossil fuels from the rest of the world, to do it more cleanly here, including using the North Sea oil, is a good idea. But on the fusion point, I see that I think either the government or VCs in London have invested in an UK company that is seeking to build out more fusion energy. That's amazing. We need to expand SMRs. We need to expand renewables. We need to not let this net zero craze and it being demonised by the right be made into an anti-renewables thing.
It's costing
Double
us
down
billions
on renewables.
and billions. It's hurting our economy.
Double down on renewables.
I'm sorry, it's hurting our economy.
Tell that to China.
It's costing us billions. We need to do something. We need to stop it. It's madness.
Plus, those damn windmills are the dark satanic mills of the modern age.
They are indeed.
This is not littering. How can you people say that you want energy security while getting rid of renewables? Not going to happen.
It should happen. And we've got.
Why? And then we have rolling blackouts.
Oil
We should have a mix, though.
Well, and look, we now look at us. We're relying on other countries. We should have our own. We've got our own, but we're not using it.
Not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. Yeah.
Not enough to meet the need.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, did you see Keir Starmer saying to use air fryers now? And all these stupid things he's saying.
Yeah.
Just get drilling.
Drill, baby, drill. Our next question comes from Sharon. This is something we've touched on earlier, but it perhaps is worth clarifying. Should religious events like Muslim prayers or iftars be held in public spaces like Trafalgar Square, or does it go too far? We've had this debate, but perhaps a yes or no response to this question, Kai?
Not too far, no.
Trey?
Not too far, of course not too far, no.
You know what I think. Listen, they've got to be stopped.
Too far.
Too far. I've reached that point as well. I don't believe it is appropriate to have large-scale public prayer in places like Trafalgar Square. Thank you for your question, Sharon. Our next question is from Leo, and this is in response to a story earlier in the week where I believe Ed Miliband suggested to pubs that they should turn off their fridges at night in order to cut down on energy usage. So should pubs be told to serve warmer beer in the morning to cut down on energy costs? As if the pints could get any warmer in this country already. What do you reckon?
We used to get warm beer on here, didn't you, for extra? How was that?
Did the job.
Wet the palate.
Firstly, I actually don't think it's particularly energy efficient to turn fridges off and then turn them on again the next morning. I think it probably uses more electricity than if you just keep them at a steady rate. Secondly, butt out of our lives. This nanny state of a government just needs to mind its own business and try and run the country at least before they start telling us how to drink beer.
How he's got the nerve to actually even talk to the pubs when what he's doing to them. I mean, how many? 7 are closing per week, and my local pub has also closed. So I'm very upset. Never drink. I'll never drink warm beer. I'll never drink warm wine or warm champagne. No, Ed, butt out.
But surely, Kyle, this is a distraction from the bigger picture around the fact that energy prices in the UK are higher than anywhere else in the Western world.
Yeah, it's fiddling around the edges and people are sick of it. There has to be a better way. And I think, to cling to a net zero strategy to the exclusion of all the other stuff we could be doing, it just makes no sense. And Renee, you're totally right. We've been talking about nuclear for ages, and yet somebody has to act. This government is starting to adopt all the findings of the Fingleton review. It can go further though on SMRs. SMRs is the key, but it'll only be the key for 10 years' time, right? So we do need to.
The problem with SMRs is they're going to allow people like China and France to build them and run them. Why don't we do it?
One more question without notice, which has just come through, which I think is intriguing and also concerning. And this is from Debbie Woods. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm struggling to get a new job despite extensive experience and qualifications. I can't even seem to get an interview. After asking agencies to check my CV, it has been mentioned to me that the name Debbie Woods sounds too English. What does the group think of that? Renee, what do you make of that?
Oh, this this is what happens when you divide everybody up into their identity groups and then tell employers that certain identity groups should be employed over others in order to tick boxes and make everything equal. And what happens is that the indigenous white people of this country are falling by the wayside because somebody who might not be as qualified but who ticks one of the boxes is getting the job.
Yeah, that's disgraceful. Look, we had our rant, and that's what I was saying. You give it to the person who's best for the job, get the job done. And this is just really appalling.
I mean,
I think you said,
study after... sorry, go on, Will.
I think you said it during the debate that there wasn't any sort of advantaging of minority groups when it comes to hiring processes in the UK. I think we've seen, particularly in the civil service and public sector jobs, they've been very open over the last 5 years about having particular preferences for minority groups.
I think study after study has shown that if you've got a foreign-sounding name, you're at a huge disadvantage. There's not many studies that actually show the opposite of that. That's not true.
Look, historically that may have been the case, but I think Debbie's question is interesting because perhaps that there has been, with this identity politics movement of the last 5 to 10 years, perhaps a reversal of that historic trend.
There would be in some sectors, and that's why I have an issue with the whole pendulum effect. You know, it's done in good faith, in same way like getting more women in business, for instance, and sometimes that pendulum just goes too far, and it might just be about readjusting that pendulum so that Indigenous British white people are not penalised because of that. That's a sensible argument. Nothing wrong with that.
And one final question. This comes from Mr. Dastardly Trump. Should prospective MPs have to pass an intelligence test before they can stand for election?
So what was his name? Mr.
I'm not sure exactly how far I can say the name on television, so I'm just going to say Mr. Dastardly Trump.
Trump should have had an IQ test before.
I knew you were going to say that.
My God.
I don't think MPs should be able to come from PPE degree straight into politics. I think there should have to be some experience in life where you've proven yourself in a business, you know, working a track record so that you actually understand what it is to earn money, act on your own and understand how people actually live every day.
And look, politicians is about the people. You're in it because you want to make a difference. And I think it's really important to have experience in the community and with people, because sadly what we're seeing that, you know, with our own Prime Minister, there's no communication. And he's not cutting through, and he's either not reading the room or he doesn't understand the room, and there's no communication. That's a real problem.
I have to say, Hannah and her plumbing job isn't doing it for me.
I think Lizzie's hit on a good point. I don't even think it's about IQ. I think it's about that's what's missing. Politicians are no longer serving the people. And I think what we should have is transparency and look at which groups they actually are serving, because a lot of them clearly are not serving the people. I think we should be looking at the special interests or the big businesses that are behind some of these politicians. That's much more important than IQ.
Yeah, I think the other issue is that whilst being able to pass an IQ test is one form of intelligence, I think we are seeing several politicians, maybe one at the very top, where EQ is sadly lacking as well.
I have to be able to read this comment.
Go on.
Come on. From Common Sense. What next? Switch off jet engines halfway to save fuel.
And glide the rest of the way. I love that. That'd be fun.
Dearie me. All right, that's well said. Coming up, police scrap facial recognition tech after it wrongly flags more black people than others, raising fresh bias concerns. That's coming up after the break.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The thought of war in space now, so forget the Middle East, forget anywhere else, we're going to space for war apparently. The thought of that could only concern the imagination recently of even film directors like George Lucas and Ridley Scott, but get this, a British billionaire Richard Branson has recently warned that war could actually be coming to a galaxy not too far away. Speaking at the Spacecom Expo conference, Branson has given an eerie warning that Britain must prepare for war in space and emphasised the need to dominate the industry for the sake of national security. Branson said that we could, quote, hopefully work with the Americans, but be ready to stand on our own 2 feet. With war very much raging on Earth, is speculation about a potential war in space just a sign of an overactive imagination, or is it possibly a reality? Well, with me now is my favourite space enthusiast expert, Andy Lound. Andy, good to see you. We've still got wars going on Earth. Why do we need to go to space and start scrapping it out?
Good morning. There's always been an issue of warfare in space since the first days. I mean, if we want to take it simply as spy satellites, that's a way of actually looking down on the Earth, part of the open sky program which Eisenhower wanted, which is why he was keen for the Russians to get the first satellite up, because then he could declare open skies to spy on each other. And in fact, the idea of using weapons in space is by no means a new idea. If we go back to 1975, Almaz 3, a Salyut space station, the Soviets, as they were at the time, actually had a cannon mounted on the space station in order to test the use of a cannon in space, which they might be able to use, therefore, to take out satellites and other spacecraft. It was tested when the crew came back, for obvious reasons, because it could be dangerous with the recoil. But they did actually test a weapon out in space.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, ladies and gentlemen. Continue to get in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. We appreciate your messages so far. We're just having a few technical issues with a guest, so I've popped open the Telegraph to see what we can chat about, and I think there's a really fascinating piece that's just come through. We have failed white boys, Lord Sewell to tell Starmer. The Tory peer has said that Britain has failed white working class boys who remain the worst performing groups in England's schools. It's a really intriguing point, and I want to bring it up because I think it relates to that question that we were speaking about before the break. Renee, what do you make of this?
Well, the stats show us that we failed white boys, and I do think it links back to this whole DEI thing, where we've actually prioritised other groups and tried to help them, and there's nothing wrong with helping other groups, but you can't do it at the expense of another one. And in this world where we also are obsessed by toxic masculinity, white boys seem to be the boys that are always accused of that. When we've got ads that show toxic masculinity, it's always a white boy. And so I think they've just been shunned from every single aspect of life, and they've just checked out of school. They've checked out of school, they've checked out of society because they feel so worthless because we've told them they are.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. And being a mother of 2 boys, I've really felt that. And my eldest son, is an actor. Saw his play just before, came here. But you know, not being able to get roles that are because he's white, and it's really had a massive effect on his career.
Trey, what do you make? Whilst I agree partly with that, I think you guys are oversimplifying. I mean, I've said it again and again. I definitely think white boys should be looked at as a category of young men that need help rather than they're white, they're fine. I think that's disgusting. But I think the other thing you guys are missing, especially when you look at education, the top performing people, groups, i.e. Chinese, then Indians, Nigerian, Africans, they really prioritise things like education, where I think some white cultures don't to the same extent. I think that's missing. You guys are missing about the culture or the families that these guys are in. Education is not, like, for me, I had to be a doctor or a lawyer. Education was beaten into me. I became a musician, but I made money. I made money. My dad was all right with it. But do you see what I mean? It's like, it's not prioritised for a lot of white families.
Is that not because you came from a different culture where education wasn't necessarily, or you didn't, but lots of people, where education wasn't free, it wasn't something that was so easily available. So it was so appreciated.
Partly, but I'll tell you one of the other ironies. It was partly the perception that because you're black or an other, you're going to have to work 3 times harder. That's partly why. That's what I heard about. So I never complained about being black. I just worked harder. And as a result, I found myself in spaces where I was often more educated than a lot of people. I think when you're white, you might have had this sense of it's going to be easy. But unfortunately, it's not. And I think that's one of the things that's made it a bit harder.
But it used to be black boys. So it used to be black boys who did fine up until about 11. And then they fell off the cliff and they were into, you know...
And it's still true for some working-class West Indian
Yeah, so a lot of it is also about the working class.
Yeah, true.
And that might be about parenting. And I've seen that at work because I've come from the working class East End and I have definitely seen it at work.
That's the point.
But then what you need is, you know, I came from a working class family, but I had a working class family that said, you work hard, you can do
That was the difference, yeah.
And it is the difference. But then if that's not happening at home, you need it at school.
You do, yeah.
Well, I'd like to hear your thoughts on your side, because I think that's a really interesting topic. I want to move on, though. We've got Essex Police who have paused their use of live facial recognition after a study found the technology was more likely to identify black people than other ethnicities. Researchers said the force's system also picked out men more often than women, raising fresh concerns about fairness as ministers push to expand the technology nationwide. The force insists false flags were extremely rare, says the issue has now been addressed and plans to bring the system back into use. To discuss this, I am pleased to welcome former chair of the Haringey Independent Stop and Search Monitoring Group, Ken Hines. Ken, thank you so much for joining us. Tell me, how do these possible mistakes get made with this technology, and can we actually have any confidence in its use going forward?
It's all dependent on the human aspect, that whatever they're putting into the system will come back out. If you put rubbish in, you're going to get greater rubbish coming back out. And unfortunately, if you don't have any balance, then you're going to have imbalance. For far too long, we've been complaining from a minority race that we have been persecuted and victimized when it comes to things like this, regarding stop and search, around crime, around unemployment. The logarithm always tends to pick us out above everything. So it's not surprising that we're getting greater disproportionality in the use of this technology.
When you say rubbish in, rubbish out, Ken, what do you mean by that?
If you load the system with inaccurate information, it's going to then come out with peculiarities. Like what we're finding, the Essex, I have to put my hands up to honour the person who pulled the plug to have a look and see what was going on behind the scene. And I will say to you, it's no different with what the Met is doing, but the Met is yet to have an independent body scrutinise their body of work that they're doing. I was surprised that it comes out and it shows that they have the same failing as Essex has identified.
So, Ken, the way that I interpreted it was that there were problems with the technology itself, which made it more likely to be able to put to falsely recognise a black person as opposed to someone of Caucasian descent. What you're suggesting is that there is systemic bias which has gone into this development of this technology, and as a result of that, that is what is leading to this discrepancy?
Absolutely. And not furthermore, I believe that there haven't been sufficient tests being done on black people. Yeah? Because if you're pulling us out and it's picking us out disproportionately more than any other race, it's got to be a problem about the person who's coded, whatever code's been put in there, and how it's been impacted on people like myself. As I said, we've got no qualms about new technology, but safeguarding, transparency, accountability are things that I strongly believe in and really want to hope that the Met would take account of what's going on.
Ken, I asked this question with the caveat that the Met Police and indeed any of the other police forces of the United Kingdom are not here to defend themselves against any accusations of bias. But do you think that this case represents a broader institutional bias within the police forces of this country?
Absolutely. And for 40 odd years, I've been on the receiving end of this and see what it looks like in plain sight. And I'm saying that, I've just found different ways of trying to address it. Rather than in the early days as a young man, I would quickly turn to violence and rage. Now I just turn to having that conversation, making it uncomfortable for the people who said that they're doing the best for my community when they don't engage on a level with people like myself.
Yeah. Ken, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I hear everything you say, and I think everything you say is right about the way this technology is actually used, where it's used, and how it's programmed. What do you think this is doing for trust between your community and the police, which has been a difficult area over the years anyway?
It's further eroding what little trust there have been identified with. And to me, the sad thing about this, it is generational. So it means that we're probably onto our third generation that that's had the backlash from this trauma that started first of all from stop and search. Okay, and my thing is that when it's weighted, why is it that they always have the misinformation that disproportionately affect people like me? Why is it always the case? And then they said, oh, you know what? We've learned our lesson, until there's another lesson to be learned just down the road. Because what they do is continuously kick the can down the road and say, look, and use distraction to kind of dissuade us from what needs to be actually addressed. And if we can address it once and for all, I hope in my lifetime, it will be a better place for us all to reside and live and thrive in.
Do you think we should withdraw facial recognition from all police forces at the moment that are using it?
No, I'm not a total abandonment, because it's caught some wrong uns, some proper wrong uns. But I just feel it needs to be recalibrated so that it continues to catch the most serious offenders and not trickle down just to anybody because you want to put the numbers up and make it look good, the positive outcome. Because what is a positive outcome? It's not always about having someone locked up. It's also about eliminating others who may get caught up in that kind of trouble.
Indeed.
And what has this done to your everyday confidence? Because it must really affect you when you're going out and you're thinking, well, I might get recognised from a camera. It must have a huge impact.
Well, we went out on a road duty as a street father, and one of our colleagues got detained underneath misidentified underneath this very same thing.
Wow.
Technology, and to have it so close to home, and I continue to see the emotional damage it's done to him. I'm fortunate. I run my main group around emotional well-being and about checking in. And right now, I'm here in the Gambia, beautiful Gambia, and I'm sitting here taking care of my own mental well-being. So I'll be back next week, back into the runnings of things there, and and helping those that is being victimized
Well, Ken,
from
thank
this technology.
Thank you for the work that you're doing in the community, and thank you so much for your time this evening. Right of replies, Essex Police have commented saying, we have revised our policies and procedures and are now confident that we can start deploying this important technology as part of policing operations to trace and arrest wanted criminals. We will continue to monitor all results to ensure there is no risk of bias against any one section of the community. The Home Office, or I should say, the Home Office said a person's image is immediately and automatically deleted if it does not match the watch list, and all deployments are targeted, intelligence-led, time-bound and geographically limited. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, stick around. It's our high fives.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The weather remains pretty disturbed around the Canaries. Further gusty winds and heavy showers. More showers to come in Cyprus as well this weekend. Should see some sunshine in Mallorca. Madeira also seeing heavy showers from an area of low pressure. Storm Therese still in evidence here. The odd shower in southern Spain, but most of Spain and Portugal dry and sunny. Good deal of dry weather across southern Italy. 1 or 2 showers likely in Sicily. The showers fading in Greece. Some sunny spells here. Continued risk of thunderstorms in the Canaries into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. After plenty of sunshine on Saturday, clear skies tonight will allow some patchy fog to once again reform across England and Wales. Further north and west, though, it is going to be much cloudier, and that's courtesy of this weather front pushing in from the northwest. And through the day on Sunday, that will bring some patchy rain further south too. But back to this evening, and it's underneath the clearing skies across England and Wales. We'd like to see temperatures fall away the quickest, so it will turn to a chilly night across more southern and central parts of the UK. Patchy fog forming, particularly across the southwest of England, but also some patches for the Midlands and maybe the southeast of England. A widespread frost in the countryside with lows of -1 to -3 degrees, perhaps in the most prone locations. Further north and west, though, skies will be cloudying over, and we will see some patchy rain for Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England later in the night, although that will be clearing from the very far northwest of Scotland by the morning, so some brighter skies for the Hebrides and the Highlands. Patchy rain for Northern Ireland first thing, and maybe the rain pushing into parts of North Wales as well for breakfast time. Otherwise, a bright start today for many southern parts of Britain. Sunny skies for many, but there will be some fog patches, and those will only slowly lift through the morning. So parts of East Anglia and the East Midlands could stay a little bit grey for a little bit longer. But the best of the brightness will be across the southeastern third of the UK on Sunday. Thicker cloud for Northern England, Wales and the Midlands. Patchy rain here by the afternoon, but brightening skies for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but turning windy in the north of Scotland and colder. So heavy showers, perhaps hail and some sleet down to lower levels later in the day. Some fog around first thing on Monday, but for most of England and Wales it will brighten up with some hazy spells of sunshine. Thicker cloud for Scotland and Northern Ireland, and turning wet and windy in western Scotland later, with some particularly heavy rain for the Highlands. Now, as we go through the coming week, it is going to start to turn increasingly more changeable for all of us, and temperatures will fall away, so feeling quite cold by Wednesday.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB Loyalty Points is here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on your say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB Loyalty Points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled to announce that GB News Breakfast has once again been nominated for Best News Program at the Trick Awards. As we've said, we've won this award for the past 3 years and are very proud to have done so. It would be great if we could get 4 in a row, but we cannot get it without your support. As Lizzie goes wild in the studio. We need you to vote for us if you think we should win this year. You can vote now by scanning the QR code on screen, by going to poll, or I should say, by going to poll-trick.org.uk. Thank you so much for your support It's now time for High Five, where we discuss our favourite moments from the past week. I will kick us off with something which caught my eye as a fan of snooker. The inimitable Ronnie O'Sullivan has won every award that it is possible to win in his illustrious career. He's got pretty much every record imaginable, but he still found time this week to tick another one off. In the near 100-year history of competitive snooker in this country, he has just got the highest ever break of 153. I thought you could only get to 147, but there is a particular way that you can actually get beyond that if certain things go your way. And I just love Ronnie O'Sullivan.
I love him.
I think he's a character.
He's amazing. Yeah, it's called a free ball basically, where you get to have an additional
free
red.
ball.
It's called a free ball or something like that. Yeah. But he, for me, is my #1 favourite snooker player. I mean, phenomenal.
But you know what? I'm probably not allowed to say this, but my little sister was his groupie back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Was she? We need to get her on the show.
But you know what? He was cooler than any other snooker player. There was something like just cool and
but I love
down to earth
it's something about his character. We don't have enough of those.
We don't have enough
anymore.
of that,
I think such a character.
What have you got for us?
OK, so I see in my job, obviously, care homes and what they're like, and some of them are absolutely dire, and it's almost like a dumping ground for old people where they just sit in a chair all day looking at the other person in the chair opposite them. So I loved this, and I hope we've got something showing it. It's the world's first virtual reality train in a care home, and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous.
We don't have those clips available to us, but nonetheless, it does sound absolutely gorgeous.
How bizarre, because the whole thing was so they're sitting, it's set up as a train, they've got proper windows, but there's AI running past the windows as if the train is actually travelling, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Quite cool.
I've not done very well on my clip.
You haven't, darling, you haven't.
Lizzie, what have you got for us? We don't have any media for this segment, so give us your best commentary.
Well, they're small, they're fluffy. I'm not talking about Kai, and they fill your hearts. They're at Woburns Safari Park, and they're the cutest little otter pups that they've brought in, and they are stealing people's hearts, and they are the most adorable little creatures. You need the pictures, but for Easter it's where everyone is going to see them, and these little otters are the cutest little things. And you have them all on. Otters get such online presence on videos and everything, and now you can go and see them, and they're really vital conservation protection. Them. It's been really important because they're really vulnerable species.
Look, I think that's lovely, and I think that the otter community has come under fire recently for dumping Winston Churchill off the banknotes. So it is nice, and perhaps unfairly. I don't think it's their fault. So it's nice to hear some positive PR for otters.
Exactly, positive for otters. It was actually the beaver that was going to get.
I don't know. I think
the animal yet. There was some confusion about whether it was badgers, beavers, otters, but interestingly, there was a poll that polled everybody in the UK whether they'd replace Winston Churchill with something else. Green Party, the only people who'd replaced Winston Churchill with an owl.
Trey, what have you got?
Not a bad one, actually. So, my one is the recent state visit of the Nigerian president and the First Lady. And really, it's about King Charles being absolutely incredible and showing why the monarchy is so important. He basically spoke pidgin English. For those who don't know, it's a sort of a way of speaking broken English, which is kind of universal around the world. And what he said was, Nigeria no de carry last, which actually means Nigerians never finish last. But I think what I loved about it, apart from the fact he learnt culturally the importance of it, it just really underscores the importance of our monarchy. And really of the Commonwealth as well. I think that's what's really important. I think the monarchy is so important.
And
absolutely love
the King looking seemingly healthy and well in that visit, in that appearance as well.
That's really well said.
Kai, what have you got for us?
He's got to fit the King.
If you can pull yourself together.
Come on.
Really good news for the tech world in the UK, for once. A company called Cambridge Aerospace is raising money at a $1 billion valuation. It's become the third company in 3 months to do that here in the UK. Our defence startups are sort of bubbling away. I think it's good news. Good news for the Cambridge,
you and say that is good
Oxford.
news.
No, it's very good news.
Yeah. I mean, it's important that we have a growing.
Do you know what? I was at
We're the third largest tech economy in the world.
And that's very important. I was at the Lib Dem, yes, of course, Lib Dem,
Lib Dem?
event around business, and there's not enough tech companies that stay here, and I think it's important that they stay here, they don't get bought out. It's very important.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, coming up after the break, more triggered tantrums for you.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Ladies and gentlemen, we have more triggered tantrums coming your way. Lizzie, take it away for us.
Yeah, this really did get my goat, let me tell you. It's a foul-mouthed youth sparked a terrifying brawl on the Elizabeth Line train after a middle-aged man asked them to stop vaping, and what they did was blow the smoke in his face, and it caused a huge fight on the train, and it's absolutely disgraceful and such lack of respect. We need to play it so you can see.
Oh, that's unpleasant. I should add, a TfL spokesperson has told the Daily Mail we prohibit smoking and vaping across all of our services and premises. Everyone has the right to travel safely, and we encourage anyone who experiences or witnesses a crime or antisocial behaviour on the tube or on our rail services to report it to the British Transport Police by texting 61016. See it, say it, sorted. That was my editorial at the end. Trey, what have you got for us?
So, following on from the Manosphere documentary, it's Piers Morgan Uncensored, featuring the lovely HS TikToker. Let's take a look.
Like a 2-year-old. Why would I care?
A 2-year-old? A 2-year-old? Listen, sir, I don't know why you come on and you talk like you're holier than thou. As soon as you're away,
All right, let's
who's this? Applications are open.
All right, let's just
That's your ting, bro. That's your girl.
Let's end this, please.
Cooked.
You know what? I'm not doing this. Sorry, guys. It's pointless.
Oh, God, that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And the fact that they kept the audio of cooked right at the end was just the
Who did he
funniest.
show on the thing?
So basically, he showed his wife, basically, from a couple of years ago. She had this picture of her, and it back it's something like "Pool Boys Wanted." So basically, what he's doing is saying his wife is questionable in her character, is the best way to say it.
I'm not a fan of HS.
No am I.
It is always fun to see Piers get stitched up.
It's not the first time we've seen Piers walk off either.
No, that's true.
He loves it.
What have you got for us?
I've got a great video for you. I think it's quite funny. It's not really a tantrum, but it's one from across the pond. Let's take a look.
He also is trying to give President Trump advice about how to conduct the war. That's a little bit like seeking the advice of a nun about sex. Sir Keir Starmer is the last person you would want to go to advise you about how to have a military confrontation.
That's funny.
Keir Starmer gets mentioned in Congress. Yay, we're so relevant and important.
He is actually now getting the ire of many US politicians, Keir Starmer. He's not popular across the pond.
No, he's not popular, and he's not popular here either. Have you seen his rating? You're happy because he's gone up 3 points, but he's still minus
I'm not
38.
happy. Should we care, though, that many US politicians don't seem to respect Keir Starmer?
Yes and no. Look, the US is really, really, really important. Right now, Congress people aren't very important because Trump sidelined them completely. But there will come a time when maybe we want to work much more closely with the US. Maybe not this Trump administration.
Especially when his whole, raison d'etre has been, he's so good on the foreign stage, he's such a statesman. That's kind of fallen apart.
Look, he's not popular with anyone, not even in his own
He
party.
did do all right for a short while, Dan. I think you've got to remember, if the Democrats win, I think he will be rewarded if he's still in power. That is that's a big if.
Oh, please.
That's a big if.
Well,
please.
that is certainly a
Back
big
to
if.
work. Back to work.
But I did love the line, like asking a nun about sex. That is all for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to my wonderful panel, and most of all, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to you out there. You are what make the Saturday Five what it is. But next we have the wonderful Alex Armstrong.
Well, tonight I'm bringing you quite a chilling report, as it seems a new child sex abuse scandal is on its way. Girls as young as 13 years old have been found to have engaged with child... well, there's been some sort of, I guess, a cover-up here from the police in West Midlands. That's what it seems to me. I don't want to give away too much now because there's a lot to come on the show, and I promise you, if you join me tonight, it's going to be a big one. Thank you.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. After plenty of sunshine on Saturday, clear skies tonight will allow some patchy fog to once again reform across England and Wales. Further north and west, though, it is going to be much cloudier, and that's courtesy of this weather front pushing in from the northwest. And through the day on Sunday, that will bring some patchy rain further south too. But back to this evening, and it's underneath the clearing skies across England and Wales. We'd like to see temperatures fall away the quickest. So it will turn to a chilly night across more southern and central parts of the UK. Patchy fog forming, particularly across the southwest of England, but also some patches for the Midlands and maybe the southeast of England. A widespread frost in the countryside with lows of -1 to -3 degrees, perhaps in the most prone locations. Further north and west, though, skies will be cloudying over, and we will see some patchy rain for Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England later in the night, although that will be clearing from the very far northwest of Scotland by the morning, so some brighter skies for the Hebrides and the Highlands. Patchy rain for Northern Ireland first thing, and maybe the rain pushing into parts of North Wales as well for breakfast time. Otherwise, a bright start today for many southern parts of Britain. Sunny skies for many, but there will be some fog patches, and those will only slowly lift through the morning. So parts of East Anglia and the East Midlands could stay a little bit grey for a little bit longer. But the best of the brightness will be across the southeastern third of the UK on Sunday. Thicker cloud for Northern England, Wales and the Midlands. Patchy rain here by the afternoon, but brightening skies for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but turning windy in the north of Scotland and colder. So heavy showers, perhaps hail and some sleet down to lower levels later in the day. Some fog around first thing on Monday, but for most of England and Wales it will brighten up with some hazy spells of sunshine. Thicker cloud for Scotland and Northern Ireland, and turning wet and windy in western Scotland later, with some particularly heavy rain for the Highlands. Now, as we go through the coming week, it is going to start to turn increasingly more changeable for all of us, and temperatures will fall away, so feeling quite cold by Wednesday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dorby.